Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You're tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balance with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports Radio Station, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, Audible, Amazon Music, Tiki Live, Rumbles, Podchaser, Spreaker, Streaker, and more. Why so many places? Because I want to maximize my splatter zone for more hope and happiness. So there's no gossip, no scandal, and no K words here. Instead, I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. Why not 100% of the time? Well, folks, if you're happy all the time, you're dead. We need the contrast. That's why I say 88. 8 happens to be a lucky number in Chinese. I know you thought I was Swedish, but 8 is a homophone for good fortune. So double 8 is double good fortune. And I'm so happy you're here. This is show number 1204. And I am not live today. Usually, or almost 98% of the time I'm live. I just happen to be speaking today during the live show. So I get to pre-record this birthday show that is going to be airing for you on Thursday. And I'm so delighted to be able to bring you a couple of different things. One is my back to school interview every year with Tucker Perkins, who is the head of the PERC Propane Education Council. And he has lots of good news for back to school. And then I'm going to revisit one of the most important interviews. It was a highlight interview of mine. It wasn't with a celebrity. I mean, she is a celebrity of sorts. She's my house staff astrologer, but that's what's going to be playing today because it's going to explain why I am who I am as a Leo, and Leo on steroids is what some people will say. So that's what's up today. I'm going to go right ahead and jump in with the interview with Tucker Perkins so you can see what is actually, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go and do the birthday part first because it's all about me and Leo, typical Leo. We're going to go first. So let me share with you this interview that was done many years ago. But I love seeing it because something tremendously important happened right after this show. So I am going to share that with you now and see if I can find it easily. I believe that this is, here we go. I hope you enjoy.
All right. So, Tawana, what's interesting about your chart is that so we talked about your Leo rising, right? Mm-hmm. Like that, and your rising sign is, can tell you everything shapes about as it's this absolute, definite, way to read what's happening in your future. I agree with you that we do create our lives, and that our choices, our thoughts, our actions, the people that we encounter, everything shapes and molds the trajectory of where we're going. Now, what astrology does that's so beautiful is it reminds us of how intricately connected we are to the universe, to the divine, to one another, in ways that transcend our understanding, in ways that we can see and not see. And so operate under the premise. I operate my whole life under the premise that the divine is always mediating in our environment, always participating in our lives in a way that we can actually see things, see symbols, see messages, see information. Just in the fact that you called me on the show is symbolic that it's kind of a guidepost moment that the divine is saying, hey, Rachel, you're on the right path. Keep going in this direction. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or sometimes if you have like a butterfly crosses your path and you instantly think of a loved one who's passed on in spirit, you're getting a message from that, from that incident.
Message.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
Right.
So astrology is kind of like that.
Well, you got me then. So, because that still is aligned with the creating, because if you create just based on nothing, it's alone. But if you create based on the belief system that there is a friendly universe out there, and that there is this grand plan and design that you live in joy, which is my belief system, and that everything that happens to me is for my divine and best good, then I can still hold the signpost, as you put it, around the planetary the forces that shape who we are. Okay, so I'm in.
Absolutely. and so so I could, when I see your chart,
Yes,
I see all these symbols of your divinity. I see all these marks, that Leo quality, that Leo characteristic of like, I want to be the center stage. It's interesting. So because Leos have a real need to be self-expressive, and different in a way that Gemini have a need to be self-expressive too, but it's more like Gemini have all these thoughts that they want to communicate, and they have like this wealth of information and knowledge, and especially you with your Sagittarius moon, and we'll talk about your chart too. But you have all of this depth of knowledge that you're hungry to transmit. And with Leos, it's more about, there's this sense that your calling is to be a messenger.
A wallflower.
No, yeah, totally, a wallflower. Well, it's interesting because a lot of Leos struggle with they have a lot of charisma. And there are two types of Leos.
Okay.
There are the types of Leo who as children, and from the work that you do, that so much of who we are is shaped in our childhood experiences. And for Leos, you have a lot of charisma, a lot of personal presence, and so when you walk into a room, everyone's going to know it. And Tawana, you have a Leo rising, so this fits you too.
Yeah.
Pay attention.
I am listening.
Wow.
So
that's why we get along.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. I mean,
so.
it's really there are other compatibility markers as well.
Okay.
But what happens when you have a lot of Leo in your chart and you're a child is that you walk into a room, you fill it up, and everybody sort of notices you. And as a child, your world is such that you can look at that and say, everybody's looking at me, there's something wrong, or I'm being judged. And especially if you have a wounded childhood. So there are two types of Leos. The types of Leo who says, everyone's looking at me and I love it. I'm going to step even more out on stage. Or sometimes a lot of times Leos, the stage gravitates toward them. So their parents might push them, or they might land roles early in life, or have experiences that give them a platform to step up on and perform. Or there are other kinds of Leos who say, this is scary, everyone's looking at me, there's something wrong, I'm going to go into hiding. That's something that happens with the Leo rising a lot of times, is that most of your life is spent living into your charisma, living into that passion, and it's not an easy path for you, but it's something that is destined, that's your calling. And so a lot of times when there is a destiny or there is a calling, there's a lot of internal resistance to that. And so when you can come up when you can release any kind of restraint that you have from following that pull, then all of a sudden your purpose unfolds for you, and there you are on stage. And for you, this plays out really significantly because your North Node, which is a karmic destiny point, is right in your first house in in your first house, which is, the house of self and the house of sort of your presence in the world. So much of your life path is marked with releasing the fears about being seen.
Oh yeah, I can totally agree with
Yeah.
that. I thought it was because I turned 40 and I was like, I'm 40 now, so I can step out. But
Right.
it's probably, yeah.
That sounds more, it's
A combination of
resonating
both,
what you're
yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you've just tuned in, you are listening to Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa. And today we're talking about, what sign are you? And it's not a pickup line. It's actually an exploration of the horoscope with Rachel Lang from Blissen Up, UBN's other show. When is your show?
It's on Fridays at noon.
Fridays at noon.
Yes.
And you actually have people call in and you do their
Yeah,
charts on
I
there.
do. I do.
Interesting. So we, Tawana and I are benefiting because we gave all this information. So we're getting our charts read, as well as if you are listening and you're a Leo or a Gemini or any of these other signs that we're going to go through, you might catch a glimpse of why you are the way you are, maybe. So I'm gonna because it's all about me. How many planets? I've been told.
I love this.
Sorry,
You are
this
such
is
a Leo,
Leo, right? Right.
With an Aries rising.
And I do have an Aries rising, right?
Yeah.
Because I was told that, and my big brother, Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith, when I told him that, he goes, "Oh, well, that makes total sense, because not only do you have to do everything, you have to be the best at everything." And I went, "Okay, that's me." So as much as I want to fight this, it is true. Now, is it because I was born on that particular date and time and location? It also goes by location, that I was like, is there any way that I couldn't be as shy as I am? Is there any way that I couldn't be, want to do everything? Is it because of the stars that I am the way I am, or the force of who I wanted to be coming in landed me in that?
It's more of that
constellation.
It's more of that. It's more of your soul had a spark of knowledge of what it wanted to do when it was here on this earth. You had a reason why you wanted to come, and you said, you know what? Here's this family, and this family looks pretty good, and I've got this particular date that I absolutely want to be born on at this particular time, because so the chart is a reflection of your soul's greatest desires, of who you are.
I like that.
Yeah.
Chart is a reflection of your soul's greatest desire.
Right.
Love it, love it, love it.
And sometimes those greatest desires aren't the things that are the easiest. Yeah. So for example, one of the influences that you have in your chart is Saturn, which is the planet of that tells us about our early parental environment, our primarily a relationship with father, and also it's the planet of that indicates our limitations, our kind of hardwired challenging beliefs. And for you, your Saturn's in retrograde at the time of your birth, which a lot of times indicates that you came here with some real abandonment fears. And some real that is one of the fears that plays out for you in much of your life. And so I would say that your soul probably desired to learn about connection and about the need for others through some of those early experiences of abandonment and some of those biggest fears that led you to really craving connections with others.
So would that explain the revolving door that is my love life?
That would explain it.
Okay.
that would definitely explain it.
All right then. See, I can't help it. It's in this constellation.
It is, but you can take that and say, okay, this is the revolving door.
Yes.
And the beautiful thing about your chart is that we talked about this just before the show. You have Mars, which is the planet that indicates your attraction for men and your attraction for partners. Is your Mars is in the sign of Virgo, in the 6th house. So there's you heal. You're in the constant process of healing, of healing those early wounds. So your healing, your personal healing, then goes to serve other people. And so there's a real tendency for you to take all of your experiences, say, okay, I'm thinking them through.
Mhm.
I've got it.
Yeah.
I've got all this Leo energy. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to express myself. I'm going to step up on stage. I'm going to influence other people. I'm going to inspire other people. That's what fire does. Fire lights, fire. If you think about the element of fire, Leo and Aries and Sagittarius are all fire signs. If you think about the element of fire, when a spark catches something, it's an instant. It like immediately ignites, like fire wants to spread. And that's you. Your messages, your words all want to
show,
spread. Yeah.
The TV,
the
books, the motivational speaking. Okay, so I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
Yes, totally.
All right, good. And if you've just tuned in, you're listening to the brilliant Rachel Lang from Blissen Up, and we're talking about signs and astrological signs. So I went to Yahoo and put in is astrology fake or real? And it was really interesting because a person who actually had a column, astrology, he said it was real. Surprise, surprise.
Yes.
And then a skeptical Gemini said, no, it's fake. So depending on who you are there people that are more trusting because of their signs?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
So what are the trusting signs?
So the trusting signs are usually Pisces, usually water signs, because they're pretty intuitive and they kind of have a sense of Pisces for sure. Anyone with a real strong Neptune in their chart is going to be like, I get it. Earth signs are usually a little bit more skeptical. So our Tauruses, our Virgos, and our Capricorns, because they're practical. Earth is all about what is here and now, what is in front of me, what is material. The signs of seekers, Sagittarians, for example, Geminis a lot of times are very, very interested. Leos like to know about themselves. but it's true because that's one of the things that you're here to figure out. That's,
right.
So but usually our earth signs are a little bit more skeptical. So that Gemini probably had some Taurus in his chart or some other influences in his chart.
Now, what do you say to people who say, well, when you read the horoscope, some people go, oh my God, how did they know? Or that's totally, what's happened to me today. And then other people say, well, it's so general that it's going to hit a certain number of people. So you can't really put stock in that.
I think it depends, right? I mean, it depends on whose astrology column you're reading.
Okay.
And what who they're writing for. A lot of times, see, our charts are so complex too. So we're not all our sun sign. We are our sun, our rising, our moon, our Mercury. We're the whole picture. And so horoscopes are often written for the sun sign or the rising sign, but that's one aspect of your personality.
Okay.
If your sun sign isn't the most prominent feature in your chart, if your Mercury, for example, is the most dominant planet, then that horoscope might not resonate for you.
Okay.
But if you've got a strong sun sign and you've got a lot of Leo in your chart, for example, that Leo horoscope's probably going to touch on a number of your personal planets.
How many Leo things do I have?
You have
she's laughing.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Wow.
6. I'm counting Lilith and the North Node too. So I'm counting 2 other points that aren't like major planets. But in terms of major planets, you have Uranus, the Sun, the Moon, and Mercury,
which is pretty strong.
That's pretty strong.
So I just can't help myself.
In the 5th house, which is Leo's house. So it's like all of those Leo planets are even more, they're even more of an embracing their Leo-ness by being in that house.
So that tells me, I'm having a moment of awareness. So one of the things that my mom was always really unhappy with me was my standing out. Right, because I'm Chinese, and Chinese and Japanese have that saying, the nail that stands up is hammered down.
Wow.
So I carry around, every time I open my mouth, I have this voice in the back of my head that says, shh, you shouldn't be so big, you shouldn't be so, be smaller, be smaller, be smaller. And so that fight within me is one that has haunted me. And so what I'm getting right now is that I chose this. and that I am required to have a certain amount of that in order to do what I do. So I need to just knock that crap out of my head to stop, and I have been better. I say in the last couple of years, I laugh more about it than I do, but I do have that critical, who do you think you are? And it's funny, when I had Marianne Williamson, remember when I was interviewing her and I asked her, what she does with that voice in her head, and she goes, what voice? And what voice? And so I know that's my work. And for anyone else out there who knows what I'm talking about, and I think all of us have that critical voice to some extent, shouldn't have said that, you shouldn't have done that, you should say this, you shouldn't say that, is that if we can adopt this understanding to know that we are who we are, and we're okay, like, so that is an aspect of me. That doesn't mean I can use it. Well, yeah, I can use it as an excuse, I guess, now from now on, but that it's okay. I think that's the part where it's okay. And because we don't get that message, there's a certain message that you have to be this certain thing in order to be okay. And I love the fact we had Orland Bishop on, and we talked theoretically about the messages that we get when we're kids, that there's a certain kind of okay to be, and anything outside of that is not okay. Or there's a certain design that we're supposed to follow, and if we don't follow that, you're not okay. And with this expansive, broadened view of who we are, then at least there's 12 signs multiplied by risings and fallings and everything that you said, that supports the fact that we are 12 or 7 billion unique, perfect beings in our own way. I love that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, Tawana's turn. What else should she
All
know?
right. So
sorry, Tawana. You can tell I'm not used to pre-recording here. But you just heard one of the most milestone turning points in my life, and you heard me talk about it there. The understanding or the release of decades of shame that I carried around me as an Asian woman who did not follow the definition of what I was taught, what my mother drilled into me, pinched into me. You do not talk, you're not all that, be quiet, don't stand out. And obviously I didn't listen to that, and have been very much in the public's eye, in media, as well as with the show, now still going on 640 consecutive weeks. And that moment of that particular show, which was part of my birthday show, which is what the show is today, is I lost 8 tons of weight, of shame weight, that I had carried around because I was guilty of all those things that my well-meaning culture, my well-meaning mother, sometimes more mean than well, had instilled in me. And that, I think, is one of the greatest birthday gifts that I've ever been given. So thank you again, Rachel Blissen, for that reading of my chart. That I, again, it wasn't, horoscopes are not for me something that determines who I am, in the sense that it's predetermined of my life, my whole lifetime, but it does have an influential aspect. I mean, we're energy, right? We've already established that. The last thing before you're pronounced dead is a flat line. That's the energy leaving our body. But I am more than my horoscope, but where the sun and the moon and gravitational pull and all of that was the moment I was born did affect me. And I am made to be the shy. Sarcasm is another service I offer. I have a voice, and it's funny. There's a book called "On the Day You Were Born." It's a coffee table book, and I was born on the day of the velvet voice. I didn't know that until after I'd been on the air, and isn't that weird? But I wanted to happy birthday myself, and since I'm speaking, I'm pre-recording this, so it's actually not today, but I wanted to replay that for myself, to remind myself to not take on any of the shame or blame for not following my cultural training, my cultural heritage that is only a part of me. And I say that also for any Asian women who may be carrying around a lot or some of that that muzzle, that you are more than your cultural conditioning. You are more than your parental education, or I don't want to say they're shackles or what are they? Handcuffs. We are a collection of our cultural upbringing, our gender identity, our experiences in school, our experiences at home, our predisposition in health, all of those things. But above all, we are one of a kind, wonderful. We are unique. We are loving, loved, and loved. And on birthdays especially, if you can recognize that you are more than even your chart, but that you can be more than what you have been told you can be. That's my birthday message to you. And I hope you receive that with love as it is sent out to you this wonderful day, which is in the week of my birthday. Leos celebrate, I think, birthdays. I celebrate for the month, but my co-host, Tiffany, I think she says she celebrates for the year now. But I'm so glad that I could still have this new show for you, even though it is pre-recorded. And certainly I'm not used to this stuff. But we'll be right back in 2 and 2 for some station ID. This is Dr. Marissa, your hashtag positively opinionated birthday girl week on Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa. The morning show, we'll be back with another interview, my yearly interview with Tucker Perkins, and the beautiful value of having propane buses for the indication we're going back into school. And we'll be right back. Don't go away. In 2 and 2.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome back. You're tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News Radio, home to the Asian Oprah, and the station that leaves no listener behind. Number one talk in the IE. I appreciate all the support, making me one of the top talk shows after 640 consecutive weeks on the air. And yes, I'm so glad that those who said that a show about hope and happiness, a positive show, would not last longer than a year, and 12 plus years later, I'm glad that they were wrong. And if you're looking for, talk about everything that everyone else is talking about, the wars, the election, all of that, you will not hear it here because you have so many places where you easily hear it. But this show is focused on your own reality show and how you can be happy 88% of the time. So I have topics and guests to that end and helpful tips and celebrating birthdays. I do that as well. And it is my birthday week. And that is why I am pre-recording this. I get to go. I'm out speaking right now, not for my birthday, but talking about happiness. And are you happy beyond the hour? Speaking of happy hour, and I get to go to the Rancho Santiago College District to speak to a wonderful group of early learning, and they're all wonderful teachers of that young age, and I'm there yapping right now. But I wanted to pre-record so that you had a new show in the docket, and I'm going to go now to he gets to come here once a year thanks to A1 Broadcasting. They bring me interviews that matter to parents, that matter to the environment, and it's, I think, our third or fourth interview, and it's been really great having him on. So here you go. Tucker Perkins interview. Let's see if we can find this. Is this gonna help me? And I think I moved the interview. Let's give me a second here. And I do have here I do have it up here somewhere. Let's see if we can't find it. I know I'm going to get killed for this little delay. That is not the one. All right, maybe I can find it. Nope. All right, we're just going to do this. When all else fails, go back to plan A. Here we go. And welcome back. This is Dr. Marissa with Take My Advice. I'm not using a Get Balance with Dr. Marissa, the morning show. And it is difficult to believe, but it is time to talk about new school year's about to begin. And let's all agree that every child deserves a safe, clean, healthy ride to school. Joining us today is Tucker Perkins. Again, I get to meet with him every year around this time. He's the president and CEO of PERC, the Propane Education Research Council. Perkins is here to discuss government plans to modernize the nation's school bus fleet and cleaner options like electric and propane. Welcome back, Tucker Perkins.
It's so nice to be back with you. I look forward to this conversation.
Absolutely. So what should we know about school buses and how they impact our children?
Well, we want you to know, I think, what we've learned over the last years, and that is how a child gets to school has such a strong impact on how well they do in school. So sadly, most children ride to school the way I rode to school, in an aging, dirty, smelly diesel school bus. And there's a better way. We've all been behind that diesel school bus. It pulls away. We see that cloud of black smoke. We now know what's in that cloud of black smoke. A lot of harmful pollutants, harmful to the climate, harmful to our communities, but particularly harmful to the children. Asthma, bronchitis, the building blocks are inside that cloud of black smoke. If we put them in a propane-powered school bus, that cloud is gone. The other thing that we've learned over the last years is the value of quiet. A propane school bus is much quieter than a diesel school bus. And so now we combine quiet with healthier. Taking a child to school in a propane-powered school bus gives them a leg up as they start their school day.
Awesome. Anything else we should consider for options for powering school buses?
Well, I think school buses of the future will certainly be either powered by battery electric or be powered by propane. I think the choice is very unique to the school system. Some school systems will probably have both. For us, we love to talk about the features and benefits of a propane school bus. For cold climates, warms early in the morning, very comfortable for the child. We've already talked about how clean it is. And lastly, I don't know that it really is important whether you choose propane or electric. What's important is how fast you get rid of those diesel buses that are expensive and dirty and difficult to maintain. A propane school bus costs 1/3 that of an electric school bus. So by choosing propane, you can get rid of the aging diesel fleet 3 times faster. I think sometimes today, that's perhaps the most important consideration.
Yeah, that's a great point. So what are some of the benefits for schools and kids if they adopt these types of buses?
Well, I think the benefits to the children we've talked about, but let's just restate it. It's a healthier, quieter ride to school. I think the benefit to the community, among other things, it's also quieter and healthier for the communities. It's better for the climate, reduce greenhouse gases. And I think everything we should be thinking about today, we should think about our impact on the climate. So not only better for the child, better for the community, but better for the climate. I think lastly, though, the financial benefits are significantly better for the school. A propane school bus costs half that of a diesel school bus to operate. And so if we took all the diesel school buses and turned them all into propane school buses, the savings alone would put 23,000 teachers into the classroom. Gives you an idea of the magnitude of the savings day in, day out by choosing propane over diesel. So better for the child, better for the community, better for the climate, and less costly option. It's a wonderful story to tell.
Yes, it just doesn't make sense to me why there's even an argument against it. But oh well, common sense is uncommon sometimes. Now, these cleaner fuels, you spoke a bit about the environment. Is there anything else in the way that they impact the environment?
Well, I mean, I think we could talk about how we're fueling them. I think, and I'm fortunate to say that Los Angeles already runs 620 propane school buses. There, along that whole strip of California and up to Washington State, we're beginning to fuel them with zero carbon renewable propane. So even as we think about comparing a propane school bus to an electric school bus, there are a lot of environmental benefits, massive financial benefits. And I'm always proud to talk about how California has taken a lead in not only moving from diesel to propane, but moving from propane to renewable propane and zero carbon and negative carbon solutions. So we're right in the middle of the whole conversation around positive impact on the climate.
I'm so proud of my state of California. Now, tell us more about the government program to invest in cleaner school buses.
Yeah, we've not talked about this before, but it's great that EPA sees the value in moving from diesel to propane. There's a fund called the Clean School Bus Program. That fund started with $5 billion. We still have $2 billion left for fleets, school bus fleets, to apply, and they get a portion of every propane school bus they buy rebated to them. So not only is the initial cost lower than diesel now, but the operating cost, we talked about half that of diesel, and it really gives a school system a better financial footing. Lower initial cost, half operating cost, really gives them a chance to save money while improving the climate. And most importantly, I think, improving the health of their children.
That's fabulous. So where can we go for more information now that you sold me on propane buses?
We want parents to go to our website, betterourbuses.com. betterourbuses.com. It's a place for parents to go to learn the facts, to learn how to engage and ask the right questions, and then to follow through to see that their children are given this clean, safe, healthy ride to school by choosing a propane-powered school bus.
Well, you've definitely convinced me. It's a third less expensive. We can put more teachers in the classroom with that money. And right now, 1.3 million children already ride to school in 22,000 pro-paid school buses across the country. Those are extremely fabulous statistics. Thank you so much for coming back to the show every year. We know it's time to talk about school when Tucker Perkins is in my studio. Thanks again, and have the best year ever, Tucker.
Thanks so much for having me. I look forward to visiting with you again.
Absolutely. www.betterhourbuses.com. This is Dr. Marissa. You know me as the Asian Oprah, reporting live, and I'll be right back in 2 and 2.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And we're back. You're tuned in to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA, NBC News Radio, home to the Asian Oprah, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, and of course, my show central. 1,204 shows, but who's counting? 640 consecutive weeks on my YouTube TV channel, where if you free subscribe, you will get an alert every weekday morning to tune in to this show about hope and happiness. And it is my birthday week. So today, if you missed it, I replayed a very important interview where Rachel Blissen did my charts as a Leo on steroids. Those of you who also have birthdays between July, 23rd and August 21st. I don't know where that split is. My birthday is August 10th. I'm not telling you how old because I'm #ageless. But I just really enjoyed that particular episode of that interview with Rachel, because it was the moment that I could release all of the heavy shame of my heritage, shackles of being a quiet, behind the scenes, nothing to say, not supposed to say anything, Asian woman culture that I was raised in. So I wanted to replay that for you, and also to share that part of me that how I got to, people ask me all the time, how did you get to be on the radio? How did you get to be doing what you're doing? How did you get to be in media? And that was certainly an instrumental moment for me to, I was still doing it. I'm still doing it now, but now I don't feel the shame. And there's a lot of freedom when you can, for yourself, examine those things that are getting in your way. What is getting in your way of claiming your birthright to happiness, for your birthright to inner peace, for the fun in your life? And that's what this show's about. And I'm so glad that I was able to share that with you. Let's see. I realized that I forgot when I came on, because this is kind of new for me. I'm grateful that I get to do live shows every single day, except when I'm out speaking, or if I'm traveling to places where, like when I was in China, if I did a live show, it would have been 4 a.m. and I love y'all, but getting up that early to do a live show was just not in the cards. So, because I was speaking in China, I had to get a good night's sleep. So I am bringing you this while I am speaking this morning on stage, but I forgot to do breakfast. So we'll do a little breakfast before I say adios. Breakfast is a good life habit and a #Bliscipline that I've been doing on the air, on camera for 2 years now, to help you start your day in the most positive way. And obviously it started during COVID because a lot of us were having problems feeling good about the day. So Dr. Wayne Dyer, who is one of my beautiful teachers who's on the other side, his teaching was, if you start your day with 5 gratitudes, you'll have an amazing day. And you know me, I have to overachieve. So not 5, but 8. 8's a lucky number in Chinese. It's a homophone for good fortune. I think I talked about the beginning of the show. So that's why we do 8 gratitudes on the top of the bun. And at night, before you go to bed, I want you to talk or list or write what 8 things that you like about yourself. So gratitude about things outside of yourself, appreciation, gratitude, turn inwards, and you do that before you go to sleep, so that instead of thinking about what you did wrong, what somebody else did wrong, how you didn't get everything done, why did you say that? All those things that keep us from getting a good night's sleep or falling asleep, that critic in our heads. I loved hearing Dressler, Olympian, talk about his own demons and his own critic, and having to deal with that even as a gold medalist in coming back to this Olympics. And we all have that voice. We all have, as I was saying to you in that interview with Rachel Blissen, we all have that voice. Maybe not Marianne Williamson. She's done a lot of work, so I'm happy for her. But for most of us, and for myself especially, it's an ongoing work to not be ruled by that ugly voice putting you down. And so one of the ways to get rid of that voice is to exercise the muscle of your balanced, centered self. And when you are balanced and centered, you say things like, I did the best that I could with the time that I had and the resources I had. So shut the fork up, or if you're kinder, say thank you very much for reminding me of all those things I didn't do right today. But guess what? I did more right than I didn't. And it's not about right and wrong. It's about useful. And I am working on caring about myself, which is the foundation of good mental health. So you got to be tired yelling at me for this long. Have a seat and put your seatbelt on, because I, balanced, centered, Dr. Marissa, you can say your name, balanced, centered, your name, is driving the life car, not over a cliff, but I'm going to get a good night's sleep because I'm going to affirm before I go to bed all those things that make me one of a kind wonderful. And that's why we do the bottom of the bun, or the appreciation exercise. So what do you like about yourself? I like that I am constantly growing and expanding, and that birthdays are a chance to balance out all of the negative birthdays that I had. And I'll live my life out loud a bit. For those of you who think I have all the answers, I don't. I know because of what I do. I have it sounds like I know, and I practice what I teach, but I don't. Some of those who have heard that expression, if you cannot do, you teach, and if you cannot teach, you consult, because you just don't do it yourself. And the caveat, my show title, take my advice, I'm not using it. That was on purpose, but I am always learning and growing. And one of the things that every birthday that comes around, I get to deal with is how it's an emotional time for me, because most of my birthdays growing up were not good. I would have expectations that on this one day, I would not get a beating. On this one day, I would be told I was beautiful. On this one day, I would get things to show how important I was in someone's life, and looking for love in all the wrong places, and looking for somebody to complete me, or a gift to complete me. And every single birthday was a disappointment and a time that I would suffer more than celebrate. So this year, same thing. Made plans to have people take me out to celebrate my birthday. And I've had 3 out of 3 for various reasons cancel. And I, one more time, am saying, well, I'm not important, because I'm taking it personally. And I'm not going to shit on myself, but I choose now to understand that I am taking things too personally. I am having an opportunity to say, look, that's their reasons for canceling or deferring, have nothing to do with me and the person that I am. It doesn't mean that I'm not worthy of being taken out or worthy of being given flowers and chocolates. I have to sever that connection, that if I'm lovable, I would be getting, lots of birthday celebrations and parties thrown for me, and lots of flowers and cards and all of that. And that's not true. I am loving, lovable, and loved, even if I'm not getting all those things that I've equated as a symbol of love. And it's work. It's easier to take things personally than not. I'm so grateful that I had Don Miguel Ruiz on my show, the author of the 4 agreements. One of the agreements is don't take things so personally. And I do. And it's the downside of my sensitivity. So the upside of my sensitivity is that I'm very creative. I'm 100% correlated with creativity and my sensitivity. The downside is I take things so personally when they have nothing to do with me, and I bring myself grief. So I am working on that. And progress, not perfection. But I appreciate my ability to admit that I'm not perfect, and admit that I still do things that aren't good for me. And oh well, I'm getting better, maybe a tiny little bit better every year, but every birthday brings the opportunity to balance out all of those negative memories and to affirm my own love. I'm 88% fabulous, and 12% of the time I step in it. And I do appreciate that about myself. Thanks for letting me have breakfast with you at the end of the show instead of the beginning. And I am glad that you're here and you're listening, and that you don't mind that you can't actually chat, or that you can chat. I can't put your comments up on the screen today, but thank you for joining me. If you're in my cashew gallery right now, or you're listening now or later, I am, on my birthday, very grateful for all the support that I get from all y'all. If you'd like to actually give me something for my birthday, I do once a year collect for my nonprofit, 8 Ways to Happiness, which helps kids, teens, and young adults who have temporarily forgot their birthright to happiness. And you can just go to let's see, what am I going to show you? I can do this website first. And this is my new screenplay that I am writing. And let's see, drmarissa.life. You can just go here and you can see that it says up here 8 ways, 501c. Helps kids, teens, and young adults who have temporarily forgotten their birthright to happiness. And if you just go there, you can donate. To date, over $8,000 in children's books and programs to help kids learn and know how one of a kind, wonderful that they are. So thank you for my birthday gift. That's where it's going to go if you like to donate. All right. And that's it for today's episode of Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show. Now remember, tomorrow it is the Hollywood Ricky Rebel Report. We have a very special guest. It is his partner, who is the author of a great book called The Fear Problem. So make sure you tune it in tomorrow. In the meantime, remember, it's all about balance, peace in, peace out, world peace through inner peace. Now go and have the best day ever. We'll see you tomorrow.
Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Penn.